This is RTV6 News at 7, working for you.
Thank you for being with us. It's a Storm Team 6 alert day as we track incoming rain that could lead to flooding.
We want to get right to Storm Team 6 Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory. Kevin.
And the pieces of the puzzle coming together now. We certainly have rain in the area. The temperatures, did you notice that huge jump? We were in the 30s yesterday at this time. We're in the 50s now. And we'll see near record temperatures again as we move through tomorrow. The wind becomes a big story as well. It's south at 17. That's jumped the temperature some 25 degrees from yesterday. It's also brought in moisture, increasing rain chances. Very light showers now rolling through Speedway into the metro area. Let's zip to the west. You can see another secondary line. A little heavier rain from Terre Haute to Brazil in northern Clay County toward Greencastle on up to Lebanon and Kokomo, not far from Rushville. As you check out the rain to the north and east, this is just the beginning of the rain that will increase as we go through the next 24 to 48 hours. Temperatures all way above average for this time of the year. They'll stay warm tonight. 7 a.m. tomorrow. Pockets of heavier rain. We'll see periods of rain tomorrow. I'll zero in, I think, when we'll have the heaviest rain and the windiest conditions coming up.
We'll see you in just a few minutes. Kevin, thank you. New numbers obtained by Call 6 Investigates show the number of crashes on the same part of I65 where 3 people were killed this week.
A semi-truck slammed into stopped traffic Sunday evening at the 130-mile marker in Whitestown, hitting 8 other cars and 2 young adults and 1-year-old girl. Drivers in Boone County say the area is plagued with congestion due to new housing, churches, and the Amazon warehouse.
Well, today we learned there have been 70 crashes at that interchange since 2011 and 15 injuries. 10 of those crashes happened last year. INDOT says an upcoming project should help additional traffic in the area and address the issue.
And first on RTV6, we've discovered the future plans for the closed Marsh store that sat empty at a busy north side intersection for years now.
Neither the county nor the developer could tell us what's going on, but we found out the large property at 62nd and Keystone will someday be home to Traders Point Church. There's been a recent increase in police presence due to break-ins and vandalism. Plans were made in 2018 by a developer to take over the property, but those fell through. And since then, neighbors say it's become an issue.
It's been drawing a lot of unfavorable things. Homeless people living over there, camping out, who knows what's going on in the parking lot.
Today, Traders Point Christian Church told RTV6 it purchased the building and will announce how it's going to be used later this month. The church is expanding to Broad Ripple this year and will operate out of a nearby temporary location until plans are finalized.
RTV6 has put special focus on jobs, resources, and training with Hiring Hoosiers.
It's how we keep you connected to ways to advance your career. And today, it's all about a new partnership that's set to help thousands of Hoosiers pay for college.
The alliance between McDonald's and Ivy Tech means McDonald's employees who have worked 90 days at 15 hours per week can get up to $2,500 in tuition assistance at Ivy Tech. It's all centered around McDonald's Archways to Opportunity initiative. Naomi Craven is a McDonald's employee and has been for 16 years. She recently graduated from Ivy Tech in Sellersburg with the help of tuition assistance from McDonald's.
I want to be able to finish. I know I wouldn't be able to. It means everything to me to be able to go and finish. For anybody that needs this or doesn't have the opportunity or the money, I definitely would say this is for real. I mean, they're giving you free money. Why would you not take it?
If you are a McDonald's employee who is looking to take advantage of this program, classes start Monday. Campus leaders we talked to say that you still have time to enroll. Otherwise, the next 8 weeks of classes start in March.
For a look at all of our Hiring Hoosiers content, including open jobs and educational opportunities, head to our website, hiringhoosiers.com. 2020 is a major election year, and the FBI says it's trying to get ahead of the curve when it comes to making sure your vote is secure.
Yeah, we talked with the FBI today about how it is working to prevent outside interference in this year's elections. Though there's no evidence that any votes were compromised in Indiana 4 years ago, the intelligence community says Russia was actively working to interfere in the election. FBI agents say you should start watching out now for phony info about candidates online and double-check your information with a second or third source even.
Lawmakers are taking action this session to help Indiana families who want to adopt children in need.
Currently, Indiana foster parents receive a state per diem to help offset the cost for things like food and clothing. But when they want to adopt that child, many foster parents say the Department of Child Services offers ridiculous payments like $1 per day. Senator David Niezgoski filed Senate Bill 310, which would create a minimum adoption subsidy of at least 50% of what the foster family currently receives for the state. The bill would also make it clear that DCS nor the courts can consider adoption assistance when subsidies when determining whether to place the child in the home.
When they're fostering with these special needs children, they're receiving these subsidies. Why should that change when they go to adopt? We know that when you go to adopt, obviously you love those children, but the financial means of these adoptive families or parents, they are not changing.
The Indiana Foster and Adoptive Parents Resources and Advocacy Group provided a statement saying they're optimistic about this legislation. Quote, "We are grateful that the Indiana General Assembly, along with Governor Holcomb, has recognized the importance of permanency for foster children waiting to be adopted in Indiana. We are hopeful Governor Holcomb and lawmakers will pass the bill supporting foster children and the families who are willing to give children foster homes in order to financially support the ordinary and special needs of children," end quote.
Tonight, a majority of the House of Representatives voted for a measure restraining President Trump's ability to use military action against Iran without congressional approval. President Trump said yesterday it appears tensions with Iran are de-escalating, but Democrats are still concerned about the White House's justification for the strike that killed a top Iranian general that led to retaliation. The measure is non-binding, so the president does not have to follow it. But House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says it still serves as an official statement from Congress. And people in Indianapolis are making public their opposition to the possibility of war with Iran. Tonight, Hoosiers gathered downtown at the Soldiers and Sailors Monument in a demonstration for peace. Nonprofit group Common Dream says the purpose is to urge restraint against U.S. leaders and avoiding yet another unnecessary and costly war.
Democrats in the Indiana Senate are trying to get paid raises for teachers this school year. They're considering several proposals, including putting $100 million into teacher salaries over the next couple of years. Republicans at the State House say they're not opening up the budget this year for teacher pay, but they are discussing using excess revenue to pay off some debt. Most, if not all, the state's budget work is done in the odd-year legislative sessions, such as last year and then again in 2021. New today, another Central Indiana police chief is announcing he's stepping down, and that's the fourth chief to leave their post in the last month.
Zionsville Police Chief Robert Knox says he is retiring.
In a Facebook post, Knox says his last day will be April 6th. This is Chief Knox's 36th year with Zionsville Police. Knox has served the last 8 of those years as chief. This is just the latest police department in the area to lose its chief recently.
A new IMPD chief is in place as one of his last acts of 2019. Mayor Joe Hogsett named Randall Taylor to take over from Brian Roach. Taylor has served as Assistant Chief of Investigation since 2016 and says he has plans to connect on an even deeper level with people in the community in order to bring about an end to the city's violence.
Well, the city of Muncie has a new police chief. Nathan Sloan has been with the department for 18 years. Poor morale and turnover are among the top concerns that he plans to address. Sloan's arrival comes as federal authorities are investigating several Muncie police officers for alleged police brutality, and the department is also facing several excessive force lawsuits.
And Michael Maurice is taking over the Beech Grove Police Department. Maurice was Deputy Chief of Police under Mark Swartz, who will step down after 37 years with the city. Maurice says he plans to work closely with Beech Grove schools and would like to add more resource officers to improve student safety.
You'll now have another week to enjoy the glow of the Circle of Lights at the Soldiers and Sailors Monument, and you can thank the rain for that.
The Circle of Lights were due to come down from Monument Circle on Saturday, but it was decided today, due to the rain, that cannot happen. They are now scheduled to be removed on Saturday, January 18th.
Coming up here on RTV6, add about 10 million more vehicles to one of the worst recalls we've seen in decades. The airbags that can send shrapnel into the car. Next.
Plus, it's a problematic and deadly infrastructure issue, and hundreds of these structures are at risk across the nation. Inside aging dams ahead when the news continues on RTV6.
Right now, Health and Human Services has declared a public health emergency in Puerto Rico.
Only about half of the island has power following this week's strong earthquakes. They expect to restore more power by this weekend, but it could take a year to fully repair a damaged power plant. Many people in the southern part of the island are still sleeping outside. They are afraid to return to their homes and worried that another earthquake could strike.
Another massive airbag recall is affecting about 10 million cars and trucks tonight. It is the last of the recalls for from the bankrupt airbag maker Takata. In 2015, the company agreed to recall 70 million airbags. The defects caused them to explode with too much force, sending shrapnel into the car, hitting drivers and passengers. Takata sold the airbags in this latest recall to 14 different automakers. Each car company will issue its own recall, so be on the lookout for a notice in the mail, especially if you drive a Honda, a GM, a Subaru, or a Toyota.
Coming up, this is one cool cat who really knew how to let the music play. We do a throwback 3 decades in the past to this story that likely would have gone viral today.
And nothing cool about this forecast, certainly for January. We're in the 50s now. How long that lasts, when the rain will end, and how strong the wind will become. All of that straight ahead.
Indy.
This is RTV6 News at 7, working for you.
Across the country, faltering dams are putting lives and homes at risk despite funding increasing for inspections and repairs.
Alicia Nieves takes us to the place leading the country in hazardous dams.
Hawaii is often thought to be a picture of paradise, and it is. But a look at Hawaii can also give us a snapshot into the dangers of aging dams in America. In 2006, one of the state's oldest dams failed.
It was like a reverse tsunami. It was as if the tsunami didn't come from the ocean, it came from the mountains. I had a hard time getting my bearings at first.
Directly in the path
What is it? What am I looking at?
was one of Bruce Fearing's properties.
And it was devastating to see the destruction that this tsunami coming down from the mountains had caused. It was shocking. Where's the house? Where are the trees? Where's anything? All of a sudden, the police and the firemen were there, and they're saying, were there people? And I said, yeah, there were people. They're living in a house right there. The house is not there.
7 people lost their lives. 4 Fearing's family friends, his son-in-law, his oldest daughter, and his young grandson, Rowan.
We found 3 of the 7 bodies, and the rest were lost forever.
The tragedy on Kauai was caused in part by the dam's nearly century-old infrastructure, and in part because its private owner was overfilling the dam's emergency spillway with little oversight.
Those in government should have insisted upon the state maintaining its dam inspection schedule, which they didn't.
The state's Department of Land and Natural Resources has made changes since.
There was statutory changes as well as new administrative rules that we did pass.
In the past decade, funding has also increased for inspections and repairs. However, Hawaii still leads the country in the number of dams listed in poor condition, with at least 50 in the Aloha State deemed high hazard, meaning if they fail, the outcome could again be deadly and destructive. But beyond Hawaii, there are more than 1,600 dams in at least 44 states and Puerto Rico that have infrastructure listed in poor condition with high hazard.
I think it's a very important thing for people to know today that there's a lot of people who are vulnerable to the potentials of dam breaches, and they should know that they're vulnerable because they're the people who should be raising their voice to say, there's a dam. If it lets go, the same thing that happened to Bruce Fearing in Kauai could happen to our family.
I'm Alicia Nieves.
Think back to the summer. You may have noticed one trend. It was pretty hot. In fact, a European climate monitoring group says 2019 was the 2nd hottest year ever recorded for average global temperatures. Only 2016 was hotter, and that was by just a fraction of a degree. This report shows the last decade was also the hottest since we started keeping track of temperatures. In Australia, 2019 was the hottest year ever, and that's been a big factor in the raging wildfires right now.
Even right now, January is very warm, but today is a Storm Team 6 alert. alert day for several reasons.
We have a lot of rain heading our way.
Rain's the big one. Just going back to last summer, I always like to say all weather's local, like they say all politics is local. So it was late summer heat that got our attention. We had 2 days in October that hit 90 degrees or more.
That.
Yeah, kind of a late surge. For us, rain arriving now, rain not leaving though until Saturday evening, and I think at that point we'll have 2 to 4 inches of rain around. Close to record temperatures tomorrow. We need 62, currently 59 is forecast. 64 Saturday. I think off the top of my head the record is 70. That was set back in the 1800s, and we're back closer to average on Sunday. The rain chances both tomorrow and Saturday nearly certain we'll see rain, periods of rain through that stretch, and I think at times some heavy rain potential as it sweeps across the state in several waves. Saturday, the period of windiest conditions probably late morning through the afternoon hours, maybe some 50-mile-per-hour gusts. If we see any isolated thunderstorms that add a little wind to that, can't rule out isolated severe thunderstorm warnings as a result of the damaging wind threat. With those kinds of winds, 40-mile-per-hour gusts, I do anticipate some power outages as a result then of the ground being soft, some trees go over, but even independent of that, just the wind itself will create some issues. Terre Haute to nearly Bloomington, northeast. You see the little swath there of rain that continues to march across the state. Our wind gust 28 in Indy now, 29 in Bloomington. The wind calms down a little bit at night. During the day, when we start to mix things up, you're able to grab hold of the winds that are about 5,000 feet and drag some of those stronger gusts down to the surface. Pretty consistent. Temperatures will not change much tonight. Upper 40s to around 50. 11 o'clock tonight, ongoing rain through the overnight, more widespread. You may hear some heavier downpours as you're rolling over trying to sleep through that. Temperatures, they'll be in the 50s tomorrow. Once again, pushing 60 degrees in many spots. 7 in the morning, ongoing showers, maybe a rumble of thunder during the day. Pockets of heavier rain, but also I think periods where we don't have any rain at all will need breaks like that to help us. I think the strongest rain and wind comes Saturday, 64 degrees, 40 on Sunday. 9 a.m., ongoing heavy rain, western Indiana. By the time we get to 11, that's Peru to Indy to Bloomington. This is where we may have damaging wind gusts potentially. That's off to the east by 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We'll continue with rain showers, maybe mixing with snow showers before ending Saturday night. We're dry Sunday and Monday. We need that 48-hour period without rain because we have more rain back at the forecast as temperatures surge back into the 50s Tuesday and Wednesday.
You could tell me it's spring and I believe you.
Right. In January.
Just walk outside. Yep.
Yeah. All right, thanks, Kevin, for that.
Thursday is for Throwbacks, where we go into the RTV6 archives and pull some great stuff out of the vault.
Sometimes the best friends just show up out of the blue. That's what happened to a radio station here in Indy 30 years ago.
A stray cat found her way to what at the time was classical music station Symphony 107. She soon became Claudia, the classical cat.
Well, Claudia arrived at the station in late 1989. By January of the next year, former RTV6 reporter Linda Lupier found that Claudia had pretty much declared that she was home.
While Claudia is a perfect lady most of the time, she does tend to take over.
Well, see, what we can do is we can park the call on the line so that when I think the CEO refers to one of the telephone lines for the company.
So far, no one has told this classic kitty where violin strings used to come from.
Hey. Well, okay.
What's that about music hath charms?
Claudia has lots of food here. She has Alpo, she has Meow Mix, she even has a New Year's gift from one of the clients here at the station. So what does she prefer to eat? Muffins.
Good for her. Apparently, Claudia does not like the TV cameras, which is why she chose a radio station, right? You can read more about Claudia the classical cat and go back through all of our local historic content that we've dug up in the archives at theindychannel.com/history.
I love her. You can look, but don't touch.
Right. That's why she called it Claudia.
I can see that.
Still ahead here, another night of the most exciting face-off in Jeopardy history, behind the scenes of the game show.
RTV6 is working for you.
Continuing tonight only on RTV6, it may very well be the most exciting and fun to watch series of Jeopardy episodes ever.
Yeah, it's another installment of Jeopardy, the greatest of all time. Ken Jennings, Brad Rutter, and James Holzhauer are the top 3 winning contestants of all time on Jeopardy. And this week, they're facing off in maybe the most epic challenges in the show's history.
And if while watching you thought to yourself that these Jeopardy clues seem harder than ever, you'd be getting the right answer.
I think the writers used this as an excuse to show off a little bit. So, without spoiling anything, I can remember both of you guys coming up with some responses that I was like, holy crap, how did they know that? So, hopefully the audience at home will have that same experience.
Another hour-long 2-game episode of Jeopardy, the greatest of all time, is coming up in just half an hour at 8, right here on RTV6.
Lots of drama ahead, so you had to throwback picture.
That is hilarious.
This is me delivering the forecast.
It looks heavy.
It's every night, so it only throw back to last night. There's your rain shower activity from Terre Haute to nearly Indy and Muncie. What?
I always think about, how did you think of that?
Because he's Kevin Gregory.
It was a sunny day and I had time.
See you at 11.